Hi everybody and welcome to another Girls Talk session. I'm so excited to have you back joining us again. In today's session, I'm really excited. We're going to be talking about modest swimwear. As usual, I'm joined by the Girls Group Holiday team, Husna and Sana. Unfortunately, Aisha can't be with us today. She's going to be missed. I'm really excited to introduce you to today's special guest. I first came across her a couple of months ago. I think it was actually last year on Instagram. We both started to follow each other. And I remember actually sending her a big long message in her inbox, her DMs, about just how much I'm appreciating what she's doing, because finding modest swimwear was something that I really struggled with in the past. So it was great to see that someone was making a difference, creating really nice and stylish swimwear, and also just opening up the conversation about modest swimwear. So I'm very, very excited to have joining us today Fareha from Floral Swimwear. Fareha, I'm going to hand it over to you now. Can you give us a little bit of an introduction about you and why you started Floral Swimwear? What led you to start it?
Thanks, Sophia. So, my name is Fareha. I'm the owner behind Floral Swim, which is a high coverage, modest swimwear brand that specializes in beautiful, versatile, multi-purpose swimwear. I really wanted to expand the choices available to Muslim women when it came to modest swimwear. I wanted to just recognize that modesty looks different to everyone across religions and cultures and families. We can have different ideas of what modesty means to us, and it's still a very personal choice that's non-negotiable. So since it's non-negotiable, it's something I think that we should never compromise our values and standards when we want to do the things that we do. I really think that if you want to swim, you should be able to do it in a way that feels comfortable to you. I don't think anything in our faith stops us from doing that. And I've had many challenges up until now in terms of just what I could wear when it came to swimming. And looking back on it now, I think it was like I was kind of making it into a bigger problem than it needed to be. So everything kind of aligned in terms of my personal interest with swimming. I figured out what I could wear in water, and my personal background. I'm an auditor. I've seen all sorts of businesses across my career, and I thought I wanted to take the chance with starting a modest swimwear business because I felt like there was something missing in terms of just options. There's so many options that other women have when it comes to one pieces and bikinis, but with modest swimwear, it's just not there.
Thank you, Fareha. I completely agree with you, and I want to say well done to you for starting this. You're so right. There's hardly any options for modest swimwear, and like you said, swimming is something that everyone should be able to do. And even me, to this day, I still cannot swim. I can swim in the shallow end of a pool, but not when my feet can still touch the floor. But I can't swim in a deep pool, and I think part of the reason is because I always felt so uncomfortable in swimwear while I was at school. During swimming lessons, I absolutely hated wearing a swimming costume. I just felt so uncomfortable, and I would always ask my mom, please write me a note to say that I'm ill or I can't join today's class. And she used to write me notes, so I used to skip a lot of classes. And then I just got to the point where I just didn't swim anymore. And even now, I still can't properly swim. And I do think my swimwear had a big part to play in that. And I just never felt confident enough in what I was wearing to swim. Husna, I'm going to come to you now and ask you, how about you? What were your experiences of swimming?
Thank you, Sophia, for passing on the question, and thank you, Fareha, from Floral Swimwear, joining our discussion, because I think it's very important about modest fashion, especially modest swimwear. For Muslims, it's such a struggle finding something to wear that they feel comfortable kind of going to a pool or beach, or not even Muslims, maybe just kind of people that actually want to dress modestly, going to, you know, the pool or the beach and don't really know what to wear. So I think it's really important that we're having this discussion, because I know it's something that everyone kind of faces with and or will face within their life. As first gen parent, when they came to the UK, we used to have swim lessons in the school, and they didn't really necessarily know what to dress me in. So kind of one day they put me in a t-shirt and a shorts, and then I went there, I got changed. I was in the changing room kind of looking at all the other children thinking, hey, I look a bit different. I mean, what am I wearing compared to what they're wearing? And they're probably looking at me thinking, why do you look different? Why can't you just get, you know, a normal swimwear? But, you know, once the teacher saw me, they were just like, huh, this probably isn't the most right thing to wear to a swimming pool. So they kind of took me to the side and said, we're going to stop you from now until you get a good costume that will be able to kind of help you to swim, etc. But from then on, you know, I was just like, oh, I'm completely embarrassed. Everyone's already saw this experience. You know, everyone's already seen what I have to go through. How are my parents going to buy a swimwear when they don't even know, you know, what to get or what options they could get for a child? And especially when you're a Muslim child, kind of growing up in the values of Islam and, you know, modesty being introduced as a child, it's very hard to get something for a child. So thankfully, I had a really good friend who gave me kind of like a swim surfer suit, and it had really long legs and it had really long arms, and it was perfect for me, and it was perfect for also my family that also wanted to start introducing kind of the idea of modesty towards me at a young age. But even from then, I was still very nervous and very cautious because it looked different to what other children were wearing. It wasn't just, you know, your normal swimwear. It was completely geared out. It was like I was going surfing. And even then, that still made me a little nervous because I thought, you know, why am I different to other people? Why am I looking different to other people? So I guess that kind of stopped me from wanting to swim. And, you know, there was a couple of lessons. And like you, Sophia, you mentioned that you had a lot of notes. I had a fair few notes too, because I was just nervous of going into that costume and thinking I look different from everyone. Everyone's going to look at me. Everyone's going to talk about me. And as a child, that really brings down your confidence anyway, because, you know, you're separated from your peers and you view yourself a bit as an outsider yourself. So, you know, even with the up and downs, I've only started to take up swimming very recently. And even then, it was still a struggle to find kind of modest swimwear, because when you type it in, you get so many options. And before, Sophia, I think you mentioned that when you do type it up, you find it and it's not nicely designed, or you look a bit like a front, you know, grandma prints, etc. You want to be a little stylish. You want to still look good. You don't want to be dressed in kind of grandma prints. So even when kind of Googling it, it was still such a struggle to find something. And you know, I made a few orders. I made it, you know, from the cheap ones to the high end. You know, there's a lot of selection that you can choose, but it's actually finding one that you feel comfortable with, that you feel comfortable with the values of that company. And it's not just one that is sold, you know, that is advertised to everyone. It's one that you want someone who has actually faced the struggles that you've been through and has actually designed something with that in mind. So that's a bit about my experience.
So much of what you've said is so relatable to me, and I think to many women. Now, unfortunately, I have had a message from Senna. She was on the call, but she has had visitors at home, so she's had to leave us. So we can see her empty screen at the moment. I'll see if I can somehow kick her out, but I'll just leave her in. So we were going to come to Senna, but unfortunately we're not. So it's going to be, I'm going to now ask Fareha a question instead. Fareha, one of my main concerns when I started to swim, because I started to swim again a couple of years ago, I think it was about maybe 3 years ago. So I did find some modest swimwear, but it wasn't easy for me. I had to find separate things. So I don't even think that, so I wear, firstly, I don't even think the trousers, the leggings that I wear are even swimwear. They're like the second skin running leggings, so they are really thin and they are waterproof, but they don't specifically say swimming. So I did have to get quite creative with what I was wearing. So I wear the second skin running leggings, and then I also wear a long sleeved swimming costume that I ordered online. So I did have to get two different things and mix and match, and there wasn't one place I could go to get both things. So that was the first struggle. But then I'd say the even bigger struggle for me was then when I actually went to my local pool, and I felt so self-conscious, and I was so nervous, so worried, so shy just to even wear it and step out into the pool with it. So I remember the week before I actually started to swim, I went to the swimming baths, and I remember asking one of the gentleman instructors, like I just went up to him like a shy little child, and I remember saying to him, I've got a question. I'm really shy to ask you this, but I want to start swimming, but I'll be wearing Modest Swimwear. So I remember saying to him, I've got a swimming costume that's long sleeved and I wear full length leggings, like the second skin trousers. Will that be okay? And I think my voice is probably shaking when I asked him. And his response really like blew me away, because at the same time that I went to ask, not at the same time, but a couple of weeks before in France, there was that incident where a lady was on the beach and she was wearing a full burkini, and she was asked by a security guard to remove the burkini. So that really impacted my thinking. So I was thinking, oh my God, like I'm not going to be accepted in what I'm wearing. But the man at the swimming baths, he was so nice to me. It brought a tear to my eye nearly, and I was like, thank God we live in the UK where we are a lot more tolerant about certain things. So he said to me, I come from Stoke-on-Trent, and one term of endearment that everybody uses is the word duck. So if you're not from Stoke, you might not get it. But he said to me, don't worry, duck, it's fine. You wear what you want, what you feel comfortable in, you wear that. And that really assured me. But at the same time, I felt like I shouldn't really need assurance from someone else, because what I'm wearing should be fine in itself. But I wasn't at that stage then, unfortunately. I think just because it's not really a common thing with swimwear. So Fareha, my question for you is, have you ever felt self-conscious in your swimwear when you were wearing Modest, and how did you get over that?
Thanks so much for your story, Sophia. I resonate so deeply with what you said. Like I can relate to so many parts in terms of my own experience with it, and people in my life who kind of just were right there in the right moment that just told me it was okay. And so, I mean, for most of my life, it was something like that was easy to ignore. So I think in the UK, it's like students have to like do swimming lessons, but here, like you don't. So it's just, I probably spent most of my life just not needing to worry about it. So whenever I came across certain circumstances, it was just like something that caused me a lot of like anxiety for some reason. It was always just swimwear that it's not like I asked for permission about what I can wear in anything else in my life. It's like I always dress modestly to work, to anything. It's not like I need permission to wear what I do. But when it came to swimwear, it was like this feeling in me that was just like, oh, am I allowed to wear this? I think part of it must have been what we would see in the news with the burkini. And like on one hand, it just makes you angry to see that, but on the other hand, it kind of feeds this idea into you that this is something you're not supposed to wear, and you don't see anybody else doing it. There were certain circumstances, like I can just recall these moments. I never really went to the beach either, or the pool, but it was like for some reason I was near water, and somebody and I just didn't know what I was supposed to do. Like, and I would just ask somebody for permission, like, is what I'm wearing okay? And they would be like, and I have like the nicest friends, right? Like, it's not like anybody is going to like say no. It's just, so I would still just be encouraged, and it would be fine. But it's still just like this problem, like that never stopped. Until I went to the beach with my family. It was like the very first time, like there was like 5 other girls, and I asked around of like what they were wearing. Because at that point I had no idea what I could wear, especially in front of family. Like I felt even more self-conscious. And so, and then they just told me like, oh, like you can just wear like athletic shirts, like polyester or nylon leggings. And I was just like, oh, what? Like, that's it? Like, it's that easy? So like, I remember I was in Texas, so that was I was there for a wedding. We went to the beach. I went to like I don't know, a sports check or just like a sports store. I got like nylon leggings and like a shirt. And all I remember from that day was just how fun it was. It wasn't what I was wearing that you know, that mattered. It was like I could just concentrate on enjoying my day instead of worrying about what I was wearing, and it felt very freeing. So that was the first time around family. And then the second time was around, it was at this event. So it was people who would typically wear like one pieces or bikinis or things like that. And I had brought what I had bought, my leggings and my rash guard. And I had to get up the courage to kind of just go for it. And I was determined though, because I had so much fun that first time. And so that moment changed everything for me, because then I just, you know, I went for it and nobody made any comments. Like it was just, they were just so happy that I was there, like enjoying my time with everybody else. And I realized that like I loved it. I loved swimming. I was just in that pool for like the entire afternoon. Like I loved water, and I just wondered how I spent so much of my life not doing this, just because of like this like anxiety that I had over what I could wear or not. So then I took swimming lessons, and I think it's like that initial period for me. It was like I was really nervous about going to my gym pool, but then it kind of just like disappears after a while, like once you get used to it, because like people here are so nice. Like the ladies at the gym would just like they would just like tell me like, oh, like, wow, are you learning how to swim? Like, you know, as an adult, that's like amazing. And I would just like, people were just so nice. I really think that people who have grown up their whole life swimming, they love seeing other people learn how to swim. Like it's something that they want other people to enjoy. So people in my life, they wanted whatever way that I felt comfortable, like they welcomed it. They wanted me to feel comfortable in whatever way that looked like. When I started my business, I wasn't telling Muslim people, like most people in kind of around me weren't Muslim. They didn't have the same challenges that I did, but they were so supportive. Like I can't tell you just like how happy and just they just love the concept of like modest swimwear that made women feel comfortable. And so I think we can have like these ideas of what other people think about what we're doing, but I think it's easier to just think that people are supportive of it, that people want to want you to join in with the fun in whatever way that feels comfortable to you. Some people might have negative viewpoints, and most people probably don't care, but it's not something I think that needs to stop us, because like once you start doing it, I realized like eventually I didn't really care about what other people thought, but I also knew that other people just are happy when I'm happy. And I think that's like a better approach to kind of like start getting into swimming.
Thank you for sharing your experience, Fareha. And I do have another question for you. I mean, we spoke about kind of our own challenges and our own experience. And like you said, Sophia, sometimes you don't really feel comfortable, even if you're actively trying to dress in, modest swimwear, or like you said, you have a pair of leggings and, a t-shirt. Sometimes you're not as comfortable. So for me, I would ask some of my friends or my families, if we're going to a place that has a pool or a beach, if anyone's wearing something similar to me, just so that I can, be assured that, it's not just me. I'm not going to be the only one that's getting looks, or I feel as though I would be getting looks. Because like you said, Fareha, you have to get that courage to go for it and just do it. Because once you do that, you get over and done with, and you probably realize it's easy. You were worrying for nothing. But my question to you is, I know that you've launched your swimwear range. What's your biggest challenge and how have you overcome it?
My biggest challenge when it came to Modest Swimwear is the fact that Modest Swimwear looks different to everybody. So modest doesn't really have like any particular meaning. Like it's kind of like an identity that we have. Like it's something that's like really important to us, but across different people, it looks different. And when I was thinking about what I wanted in a Modest Swimwear line, between everything that existed and kind of what was it that I didn't see when I saw the rest, like all of this other Modest Swimwear, was like this variety. I found that burkinis, for instance, they were full coverage swimwear. So you kind of have everything at like one end, and then you have like the other end of like one pieces or bikinis. But then sometimes like I wanted, like I was okay with wearing shorter sleeves, but I still needed sleeves, right? So, and I was okay with wearing like tight leggings, but I still needed to cover my legs, right? So it's like, how do you capture these differences in what people want? Because that's still important. Like wherever you are in that range, I think is still very meaningful. So for me, it was kind of, so that I think I captured across the three different kind of categories of the swimwear line that address these different types of coverages and different circumstances to kind of come to something that this still won't cover everybody, but this is like a starting point to see like what is it that people want and where can we go from here to actually have more options.
That brings me on to another question. You've just touched on how you created different ranges. So for example, you were saying about you were okay with sleeves and leggings. That's the same for me. So I was okay with, if it was a shorter sleeve, I'd be fine, but I just didn't want anything sleeveless. So I was okay with like short sleeves or long sleeves. And then I was fine with leggings as well. But when I first started to look for some modest type of swimwear, I did first go to getting a burkini. And I remember buying it and bringing it home and trying it on. And I just felt like it wasn't really me. And it wasn't really, it wasn't really the style I was looking for. Although it was fully covered and it gave me full coverage, it wasn't really what I wanted. It was really baggy on me, and there was a lot of loose material. So I think like I couldn't imagine swimming in it with bits flapping around. Like I'm not sure how it would have been to swim in because I didn't actually swim in it. And then I replaced that with some other swimwear. So for me, it was all about getting something that I feel comfortable in, and it is modest. So how are your designs? Like what kind of designs do you have in terms of like even patterns on it, and then you've mentioned like you have different levels of coverage. So what can you tell me a bit more about the designs?
So I think what first comes to mind is that after you get over the initial hump of comfort, just like something that's like good enough and just modest, it's like you want more. Like you want something that like fits your style. You want something that, you know, you want as much choice in terms of color and cuts, and just something that like actually feels that fits who you are as a person. So for me, and another thing is that like sometimes if say I'm with my family, for instance, I might want more coverage in that circumstance as opposed to others. So so with my swimwear line, it's there's two pieces that are it's a top and one is a swim dress. So the swim top is like it was inspired by a lot of tankinis that I saw. So those are, you know, sleeveless, but they had like length, like they would like they had more coverage, but they never had sleeves. So I kind of just wanted like the sleeve version of a lot of like really cute tops that I would see. And then then the other problem with swim dresses, there were a lot of like modest swim dresses, but they never had sleeves. So that was what inspired the second style of a high-low dress. So, and both of these have like little like attachments and hooks to kind of attach the leggings with the tops, because like that is the other problem when it comes to swimwear. It's like when you have like more material, it can kind of, the way water works is that it kind of floats up. So that was the intention with kind of having a way to attach these pieces so that we like avoid having that problem. And then the third piece was a swim layering piece. So for me, that was inspired by, like when it comes to modest swimwear, we always like the easiest way to make something modest is to layer, right? Like you can kind of just wear something underneath something else you're wearing. And then even if one piece isn't sufficient coverage for you, then if you wear it with something else, like a cardigan or something like that, that makes it modest, right? So the swim layering piece is like a very like light, thin material that you could wear under a tankini or a one-piece suit. So if it doesn't have sleeves, it gives you sleeves without, so you can kind of get like access to these other styles that we typically wouldn't be able to wear. And it would be something, we could just kind of adjust it a little bit to like make it work for us. And then the last piece was a swim scarf. So this one was kind of an interesting one. When I was like thinking through and discussing it with others, what they wanted in terms of something to cover their hair. So we see a lot of like swim hijabs in the market, and I found, and since I don't wear the headscarf, for me it was like I had to talk to people that like wear it to see what they wanted, and was the swim hijab like something like, did they want something different from that? Is like what works best, even if it's not like something that like exists now, like what could we have in terms of like an option in terms of covering hair. So I thought it was interesting that like, for instance, my cousin really just wanted like a scarf. Like she didn't want the swim hijab, like that specific look. So like even when she was swimming, she would just like use one of her own like hijabs and just tie it the way that she wanted to tie it. And I just thought like, oh wow, like I didn't realize like sometimes we might like want to have like something like very specifically geared, and sometimes it's like things that would be really suited if you were doing it competitively. Like for instance, you probably really need to have like a proper fitted like swim hijab if you were like like seriously swimming, but for the most part, in most circumstances, you could probably wear something simpler and it can still look the way you have more control over, like, I think the way that you style it. So that like resulted in this like swim scarf. So it's a scarf made with swimming fabric that you could go into a pool or a beach with. And the other thing I realized was that a scarf is also still very versatile. Like you can use it with other outfits. I think I realized like I was able to start pairing it with like my tops. And then I could get like really interesting like color combinations. And I was just like, wow, this is like so fun. So even if I personally wouldn't wear the scarf, I still like got a lot of value out of having it, because it just expanded what I could come up with in terms of outfits. And it also it also still enables, like if I need like a little bit more coverage, like it gives me like that ability to just have more coverage if I want it, like if I wanted to cover more of my body. So I just felt like across all of these things, they have like different types of sleeves, different functions, and you can kind of adjust if you want to have like more coverage or less coverage to kind of come to something that would work for you. And that looks kind of different from just like the bikinis that we see like in the market now.
I agree, Fareha, when you were talking about, you know, the simplicity of just having a piece of fabric that's made from swimwear material that someone can kind of use in different ways, and it doesn't have to be just, you know, a scarf or anything. It can be used as an adapted to make you feel comfortable, because that's one of the struggles that I found, that, you know, trying to find something that actually covers my hair, but all of them were a bit frumpy, or, you know, it made me look a bit like an alien or something. And I think it's perfect, you know, that simplistic fabric can be used to adapt how you feel in many different ways. And it can be, you know, used to wear as a scarf, or it can be used for extra coverage. And I think that's exactly what women need nowadays. Something just very simple to use to how they wish they could wear it.
I have another question for you. I don't know if anyone ever said this to you before, but someone said this to me, and I'm going to now pass it on and say it to you. But someone said to me, I think it was a few months ago, that they said to me, "You're a light worker," and then I was quite confused, and I said, "Oh, what do you mean?" Because I thought they meant like my work's really easy because it's so light. And they said, "No, you're a light worker." So it took me a while to figure it out. I did ask what it meant, and they said, with Girls Group Holiday, you bring light into people's lives. You don't realize it, but people are like women, especially. You're empowering them. They're gaining confidence. They're being given the opportunity to travel. And I never really saw that before, because for me it's something so normal and it's just what I do. And now I'm going to say that to you as well. I think you're a light worker because you are also giving women the opportunity to feel comfortable. You're giving women the opportunity to swim, which is a massive life skill, and not just a life skill, it's a massive confidence boosting thing. And it's so great for self-esteem and, you know, just personal empowerment and self-development. So yeah, how do you feel about that? And is that something you already realize, that you are really helping so many women? And you're based in Canada. It's something I forgot to say at the beginning. People may have recognized from your accent, but you are based in Canada. And this is going to be something that is going to be hopefully going around the world, if not around the world, in some certain countries around the world. So you're going to be giving women in different countries, probably women you've never met, confidence to swim. How does that make you feel?
I absolutely love that term. The first thing that brings to mind is what I thought about Girls Group Holiday. Like like that is what I thought of you. Like when travel is like such a empowering thing, and I think making it accessible to women in a way that makes them feel comfortable, to me is just like a key part of just like also what I want my brand to stand for, that it's whatever way something makes you feel comfortable, that you can do whatever that is. So whether that's travel, whether that's swimming, and it is really what I want this brand to be. I want it to be something that empowers women to do what they want to do. I think there's just so many things in our life that can stop us from trying, and it's not worth it. Like, it's like, if it's just like a small thing like clothing that can just like make the difference, it can lead to all of these other experiences in life that are so fulfilling, and you get like benefits from doing certain things that you don't necessarily think you're going to get before. So for instance, I see that a lot with fitness, that like once I started swimming, it just like the confidence that comes from it, like everything that kind of follows, like after you start to get into these healthy habits in your life, it really makes a difference. And so I'm glad that that's something you kind of see with the brand and my messaging. And when I think going forward, this is like what do I want this brand to be? That is what it's that's what drives me.
So I think that I've mentioned before that I've started to take up swimming recently, and it's definitely gave me a boost of confidence, not just in the water, but in general confidence of actually, you know, having a hobby that I start to really enjoy, and having something that I can go back to and kind of make me feel at peace a bit more. So I'm wondering have you found any kind of benefits of swimming? I know you said that you've started to kind of take up swimming a bit more. So I'm wondering if you can share any kind of tips or tricks about swimming that you have.
So I think when I think of benefits when it comes to swimming, swimming is just like a really healthy hobby. It's a full body workout. Like, you're using like your arms, you're using your legs, and it's something that's, you know, encouraged in our faith to do, and it's it also has like these benefits like outside of when, like, say you're at a gym pool as well. You know, it's often I think when we're traveling or doing like something fun, and we're like in like places with water, even if you don't I don't know, like, you can't just like jump off of a boat and just start swimming. Like, even if you're not like at that point, it, I think, lets you appreciate a lot more of what the water is like, and kind of tells you what like how comfortable you should or shouldn't be around water. I found that like was kind of an issue in the past when so I would sometimes go to people's cottages, and I would end up on their boats, and I would never have any intentions of going into the water. It was just like to hang out on the boat for the afternoon. And I remember this one time that I saw that nobody else was wearing their life jackets, and I was given a life jacket, but I just kind of thought like, oh, I'm not gonna like do anything, like I'm just gonna stay here. So I just kind of like didn't wear my life jacket. And like, just thinking back on that now that I know what it's like what water is like, and like what the worst case scenario of that, what that would look like, I realize now there's no way I would ever dream about doing something like that. You know, it's like, without knowing what water actually is like, you kind of take more risks without realizing the potential impact of it. So I learned an interesting fact that most drowning happens with people who have no intentions of going into water and in motorboats. Like, you even if you have no intentions of doing it, I think it's, even if you're not like learning to swim at a proficient level, I think it's just really like valuable just to learn what it's like if you're ever in that circumstance, because you might find yourself in water. And like the main thing you have to like remember in that circumstance is that you have to like calm down. Like you have to be relaxed, because if you start like freaking out, it like harms yourself. And if somebody else tries to help you, it'll also like harm them. So I think it's just like even if you don't know how to swim and you have your lifeguard, it'll just like keep you like okay. And I think just, you never know what circumstance might bring you into water. And I think it's important to have like the knowledge of just being able to take care of yourself. That I think is really important.
Fareha, I want to round up now by asking you a final question. What are your plans for the future? Because I know that you recently launched, but what is the future for Floral Swimwear?
When I think about the future for Floral Swimwear, our main mission is to normalize modest swimwear. I really see modest swimwear as its own kind of category, along with like one-piece suits and bikinis. Like I envision just high coverage swimwear being its own like normal category. And to me, the path to that is more women, if they do that, if they wear modest swimwear confidently without feeling bad about it, the more we do it, the more others will do it, and the more it becomes a normal part of what swimwear looks like to us. And for that means that there needs to be more options, there needs to be more varieties. I love what other burkini companies are doing in the space as well. I think whatever people want, I want to see that reflected in the swimwear that's like available to us, so that it ends up just being just a regular part of something that we can all enjoy.
Thank you. I love that. What a fantastic mission. And me and Husna are definitely behind you, as I think there will be legions of women who are really supportive of this same message as well. So thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you today. I've really enjoyed it. I've really loved getting to know more. If people want to find out more about you, Fareha, where can they find out more information?
Thanks so much, Sophia. I've really enjoyed this. You can find me on Instagram at Floral Swimwear, and you can also go to the website floralswim.com. And either way, I love to interact. So send me a DM, comment. I really want to open up the conversation about this. So thank you.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure. If anyone has any questions for Fareha, feel free to contact her, or you can comment in the video below. And yeah, it's been so good, and I'm glad we've opened this conversation up, because it is so needed. And again, I've needed this conversation. Husna has as well, and I know Sana and Aisha are both. Unfortunately, they couldn't join us, but I know that they were both eager to talk about it as well. So if it's affecting us, we know that it's a wider issue that's affecting other women as well. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you next time.